Obviously, some part you already know, something like reorder point, economic order quantity. That again, it will be revision or repeat for you. Apart from that, we are going to discuss when there is a see your economic order quantity reorder point will work whenever you have a deterministic demand. The demand you can determine. So when it's determined, that you can estimate, that you can forecast with lot of accuracy. Then your lead time, the amount of time it takes for order to arrive in your warehouse or distribution center, that also is deterministic, right? So these are the conditions where you can use economic order quantity and reorder point. But if you see in real life, your quantity varies, forecast varies, the amount of time it takes to reach the order. Let's say certain modern retail outlet, they are ordering from different companies, PNG, HUL, ITC, Amul, Britannia. So they are taking order, that they are keeping quantity, they are keeping product from different companies. So not always that in fixed time duration you will get a received order. So there will be variation there also, right? There will be variation in order quantity also. So when you bring those kind of additional parameters or complexities into your model, the initial assumption which you took or which you generally take for economic order quantity or reorder point doesn't remain same, right? Anyway, we'll discuss that. This part already we have discussed. What is the difference between multi-echelon supply chain and single echelon supply chain? Multi-echelon supply chain is where the decision being made centrally, right? Integrated with network level planning, right? They're not just looking into the profit at one single stakeholder, one distribution center. They're looking at profit or revenue, sorry, or overall all the distribution center, looking into transportation cost among distribution center, retailers, distributors. So everything combined, they're trying to optimize, right? So this is where your multi-echelon, multi-level supply chain design or simulation will be required. Single echelon, you need not have to have a simulation because each kind of party, each stakeholder, each distribution center, each retailer distributor, they are only looking for their profit, right? And that's why a lot of conflict happens. And initially, long when this ERP system was not there, lot of data sharing did not used to happen because distributor tell, why should I tell you that okay how much I have in stock or how much I am forecasting for next week or next month sales, right? Right now, if you see that data sharing has been very transparent for most of the companies. Sometimes like companies like there is something called vendor managed inventory, right? Companies like Walmart, they because PNG and HUL are their big vendors. So well, PNG and HUL they manage inventory, their own inventory in Walmart stores, right? Walmart just doesn't send an order. Automatically PNG and HUL, depending on, so they'll be tracking how much which product by how much quantity being sold. And once they understand that okay this much, automatically through sensors they come to know that okay there is a requirement or the stock quantity has gone down below certain level, they replacement it, right? They send those products to the stores, right? So now the point being, this single echelon model used to work long back when we did not have enterprise management system, but now when we have ERP systems, we can have this kind of transparency in information, and we can go for a multi-echelon supply chain. Demand categorization of SKU. Think about a different product, different FMCG product, SMCG product, right? Not all of them have a similar demand. Not all of them have a kind of sales in similar in each month, right? So if you see, this is a very smooth demand, non-intermittent and less variable. So what is that variability it talks about? January, February, March, April. Yes, there is some variation. It's not that it is a uniform distribution. Each month there is certain less or more products being sold. So that is the less variability, right? So between the sales figure in different months, there is not much variation. Some variation is there. Non-intermittent means if you say there is no gap, each month there is certain demand, right? It is not that suddenly demand is not there for certain months. So continuous demand has been there for almost all the months, right? So non-intermittent, if you see these two top uh, graphs or top charts shows the non-intermittent, right? If you see in this particular case, almost all the 12 months there is demand. In the other case, apart from June and October, right, almost all the 10 months you have certain level of demand. But in the right side top chart, if you see non-intermittent, that means very less or very few months are there where you do not have demand. But variability, if you see, it is a lot of variability, right? January month there was only 20 units, February suddenly 100, then March suddenly 2025, right? Same thing if you compare with the first figure, top left corner, January 4 unit, February 5 unit, March 6 unit. So this is within a very constrained range. But if you go to the right side, suddenly from 20 it increases to 100, comes down to 25 or 30, right? So that is more variable, right? So think about for some FMCG products, some SKUs, demand will be smooth, non-intermittent. Each month there is demand and variation between each month is very less. Our normal daily requirement, atta, dal, chawal, all these things, if you see from the store what they're selling, obviously each month there will be variation, but that variation will be very less, right? Because each month regular customers will come and buy those products, right? Some product, it is not that every month it will be required, maybe oil and all those things, and that might be certain, like holidays are there or some festivals are there, ghee and all those products, butter, ghee, suddenly certain months there will be huge increase, but other months normal 20 units or 30 units being sold. Diwali, Dasara, Ganesh Puja, all those months, if you see, there will be certain demand in those kind of requirement, right? Then there is something called intermittent. That means suddenly demand will be zero and certain months there won't be any demand, right? Intermittent means stop and start, stop and start. So that is the intermittency, right? Like your network intermittency happens, right? Network is working, then suddenly stop, then after some time it starts again, right? Same thing here. Demand intermittency, right? Demand is continuing for a few months, then suddenly stops for a few months, then again starts, right? So if you see less variable here also, almost demand is whenever there is a demand, it is around 3 units, right? If you see there is no demand in January, February 3 units, April 3 units, July 3 units, right? So variation in demand is less. But what is their intermittency? Certain months there is no demand at all, right? Can you think of any product like that? Demand is almost uniform or very less variability, but suddenly there will be a time gap. Certain months there won't be any demand. Can anyone think of any product which will have this kind of scenario? So if you see then like products like think about those seasonal products, right? Umbrellas, raincoats, or let's say food items like ice cream, cold drinks, right? Cold drinks will not fall into that because cold drinks will have some demand even in the like rainy season and cold season. But maybe like these items like let's say raincoats, certain months there will be demand, right? So in this particular case, if you see February, March, April, mostly winter or start of summer season, there is some demand of those products. Then there is gap. Then in July, suddenly demand increases. There is a demand for that product, and there is no demand for next 4 to 5 months. Some products which are seasonal will fall into this category where you have in those seasons, like I said, maybe like your this raincoats, right? 3 months in the year, uh, July, August, June, July, August, you will have a demand for raincoats. The next 9 months, there won't be any demand, right? So that is the situation where intermittent demand will be there. 3 months there is demand, 9 months there is no demand. and variability also will be less, right? The most difficult one is that neither you are sure about the time stop when the demand is there and demand is not there, right? And second thing is that how much quantity also you are not sure. So both the variables are there. Time is variable and quantity is also variable, right? If you are trying to like kind of forecast or trying to do some analytics in this kind of product, it becomes very difficult. Your error or your kind of calculation error will be too much because you do not have an idea about when those products will be required and when those like how much quantity, right? So these are the like typical if you look into any SKU, right? Even in the parameters of time, in the parameters of quantity required, you can divide into this kind of SKU, right? Then how do you stock in your warehouse or your plant, right? So depending upon what is those parts or equipment or raw material, right? So we are talking about inventory, right? So inventory need to be stored, inventory need to be planned, inventory need to be managed and controlled. Serviceability is something related with customer satisfaction. Customer is ordering something, are you able to meet the demand? So that is one scenario, one factor which you have to consider. Am I able to meet 90% of the customer requirement, 95% of the customer requirement? So that will be percentage of order fulfillment. Then supply lead time. Not necessarily that all the vendors will require similar type of days or same days to deliver something, right? How much time per purchase order? PO is purchase order, manufacturing, transportation, clearance, inventorization. Sometimes if you are ordering something from outside India, outside your country, it will take time to clear in the port, right? So that duration also you have to consider. Because inside India, obviously in the state border, there will be certain checkpoints, but within few hours, half a day, clearance happens. But if you are importing something from outside country, sometimes it might take 1 week or 2 to 3 weeks to clear those material, right? So that is something again you have to consider. The demand category, this we have discussed. What kind of SKU you have? Smooth, erratic, lumpy, or slow, right? Then vitality of part, right? How much important that for your product, right? Like I said, for some products, some raw materials, some components, there will be strategic suppliers. That means that is very critical and that other options is not available with you, right? Think about those automobile companies. For them, engine they are not manufacturing. Engine they are sourcing from some very few companies, right? It is not that suddenly if the demand, like or let's say this recently or few months back that issue happened for the processor, right? So there will be very few companies involved who are developing or designing AMD or Intel or those are the two big companies. So if there is a delay from them, it is not that within few weeks or few days you will be able to change the supplier. So those material or those product, those components are very vital for your product. Let's say Dell is manufacturing or assembling laptops. For them, processor is one of the key component or vital component, right? Then purchase cost of the material, right? How much those component cost to kind of as a ratio of your total product cost, right? For a computer, for a laptop, maybe the processor is one of the big component, right? 20% or 15% overall laptop cost. If you take 20% will come for the processor. Same thing with your engine. Maybe 20 to 25% of the car cost will be in the engine itself. Right? Obviously, it might vary across different automobile brands. So the point of why we discuss that thing, uh, imagine the scenario how many like it is not possible for a or like person to do everything manually, right? And that is where we are taking help of software. If I have SKUs into 4 demand categories, part cost into here only 3. But if you look into different companies, the equipment or the part cost might be 10 different categories. Here we have just taken those items which are low value L, less than $100, some items which are $100 or $1,000, some other components or items which are more than $1,000. So those are high category items. So here only 3 categories, but for some companies it can be 10 categories, right? The products, components, raw material which they are procuring. Lead time, here you have taken only 2 options, less than 30 days, more than 30 days. It can also have multiple options. Similarly, vitality code, right? how much important that product is for your company, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Very vital, little bit less. 4 is, it is okay. Like if you do not get from the main supplier, you have a backup option, right? It is not that much vital. So the point is, if I have a 4 demand category, 3 types of different cost category, two types of different lead time category, and 4 different types of vitality category, right? I can have total 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 4, 96 scenarios, 96 different scenarios designed. So just think about, if I have a smooth product, smooth SKU, where no intermittency, no change in quantity, almost uniform quantity, which part cost is less than on an average $100, 30 days, lead time is 30 days, and vitality code is 2. For that kind of SKU, I have to create a scenario. I have to create an inventory strategy for that. Similarly, for a product which is lumpy, that SKU demand is intermittent and quantity is also varying, then part cost is maybe higher, maybe $1,000 more, maybe more than $1,000. The lead time is something less than more than 30 days, and vitality is 1. That again, that is a different scenario. So if you start building like this, there will be at least in this case 96 scenarios. If I just take that vitality code is not that all the products are equally important for me, I will have only 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2, 24 scenarios, right? So the point what we are discussing here is, depending upon number of categories, number of parameters which you are considering, your number of scenarios will keep increasing, right? It is not always possible to create all these scenarios manually, right? And that is where we are taking help of this simulation, and we are building, trying to like define multiple scenarios and comparing, right? Comparing where our profit will be maximized, right? So quickly, inventory types and cost. This part again in the beginning, when we talk about the inventory analytics a little bit, we have discussed that. So there are different type of inventory: raw material, work in progress, finished good, goods in transit. So WIP, goods in transit, is GIT or GIP. Products and purchase cost, what kind of costs are associated with supplier plants, inventory warehousing cost, right? And this is something we have not still put in the this simulation model, right? So this is why we are discussing this, and so that when we create this network optimization, we can include those kind of cost. Inventory and warehousing cost in retailer side. Warehousing cost, we had put some outbound processing cost actually, not as a warehousing cost. We just put a facility expenses. Then transportation cost, right? So when you talk about level of customer service, right? So these two concepts are important. Difference between what is in-stock rate and fill rate. In-stock rate measures the percentage of expected demand. Expected demand, how will you get? Depending upon your forecast. Let's say next month you are for a, like, let's say mobile phone store, or this month, because Holi is coming, that mobile store is anticipating people will buy some new mobile phones. So next week, his anticipation is, or expected demand is, there will be 100 units of sale of some brand, right? Some Samsung or some iPhone brand, there will be 100 units of sale. So that is the expected demand. Then you'll see that how many units is available, right? So in stock rate measures the percentage of expected demand. So let's say my demand is 100 and I have availability of 120. So 100 by 120, that gives me the in stock rate, right? So this is, we are calculating in relationship with our forecast or expected demand. But fill rate is the actual demand when it happens. When that demand happened, let's say more people are, like, kind of, rather than more than forecast, people came to purchase those mobile phones. Let's say 150 people came, right? So how many immediate stock I had available? 120. How many orders actually came, or how many people came to buy those kind of mobile phones? 150. So my fill rate will be 120 divided by 150. So fill rate is calculated with the actual demand. Initial stock rate or in stock rate is measured in terms of your expected demand or forecast, right? And both of them are important, because depending upon how much both are close, if I am able to carry out a good forecast which is aligning with my actual demand. These numbers will be same, and accordingly I can understand what is the customer demand is happening, and I can plan for that, right? Number of back orders. When I am not able to meet the customer demand, what will tell? Sir, today I do not have the stock. Tomorrow, please give me a call and I'll send someone with that mobile phone. You keep your money ready, I'll send that person to your home, right? So that is when the back order arises, right? I do not have a stock. I'm promising my customer that, okay, I'll send you this within 2 days or 3 days or within a day. Inventory turnover rate, any other calculation we have shown, the ratio of average cost of goods sold to average inventory investment. That it shows that how quickly you are able to turn inventory to cash, right? How quickly you are able to sell out, or how many times in a year you are able to produce and sell all of your inventory, right? So that is why inventory turnover, how many turns it is happening, right? So difference between management and control. Management is long term. We are looking into a long term horizon. We are looking into automation, some new technology being integrated into our warehouse, transportation, integrate market, different market. Let's say some sales are happening in market. If demand is not there in India, can I send those products, send those whatever I was supposed to sell in India to different markets, right? Predict demand, which is the most important thing. For each market, each product SKU level, can I able to predict accurately with less error, right? Then the order management. Order management will take care of everything regarding strategic sourcing, procurement management, right? Inventory control is short term. We are looking into in the warehouse, in our retailer distributor, in our plant, how to manage inventory, how to make sure that we do not spend much time, we do not lose something, we do not waste our inventory, right? So tracking is one part, stock count. So sometimes stock count is, if it is a very big warehouse, manual count will not be possible. But if it is a smaller warehouse, if you have sometimes in the kind of lunch time, between 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., if you go to any kind of modern retail outlet, you will find few employees will be counting, okay, this much stock, how much happened, they will have a checklist and looking into. Sometimes the sales executive from that company will be there and looking into that numbers, right? But in some cases, like very big stores, automatically, so they can get the data from the point of sales. So if they are maintaining the database, no need to check manually. Obviously, sometimes some product might get wasted. So for that only manual check is required. Otherwise, most of the things, think about Amazon warehouse, it will be impossible to do this kind of manual count. Organize inventory, right? This is something which we'll discuss in the next class. Towards the end, you might have a class exercise on that. How do you organize, where you keep your inventory, how you store your inventory, right? That has a lot to do with warehouse management. There are a lot of companies who are working on this warehouse management system. Even the big companies like SAP, Oracle, they have a lot of softwares which help them in, or help companies in warehouse management system, in and out stock, right? So that is our inbound material and outbound material, right? Every day, every, like any warehouse, they'll be looking into some stocks which are coming to the warehouse, some stocks going out from the warehouse to the customer, right? All these day-to-day activities, short-term activities, short-term goal is inventory control. We are looking into a long-term overview of our how to manage inventory. That will be in the inventory management. And any question, any doubt up to this point? So quickly, inventory control, how you manage your day-to-day inventory, how much you order. So we'll take a very simple example. Think about a grocery shop nearby your house or nearby your apartment, very small store, right? So he or that person might keep some regular like items, your atta, chawal, dal, regular daily consumables, right? Milk, right? Think about it. So they are not using any software. They are not kind of even they're educated. It is not that they're putting Excel file and calculating everything manually, right? Most of the times what happens, based on their experience, they know that each month or each week how much, let's say that apartment has 400 or 1000 houses. Not all of them are buying from that person, that grocery shop. He has, that person has an idea that overall how many people, how much quantity they buy. So without getting into the any calculation. He has an idea that okay, what is a regular consumption or regular purchase from my store, right? So that is your nothing but your cycle inventory, because that much he has to keep. He knows that per day maybe 50 milk packets, half liter milk packets, or 100 milk packets being sold from the store. So that is his cycle inventory. Or every week there is 50 kgs of rice, or 20 kgs of rice being sold from the store. So that becomes his cycle inventory, right? Depending upon what he defines by the cycle. It can be a daily cycle or a weekly cycle. Most of the times it is weekly basis, right? Weekly basis only you are replacing your inventory. But whenever he also knows, based on his past experience, he knows that sometimes, because last 2 years, sometimes in between lockdown will happen, or even in the if lockdown was not there, some days, some weekends, or some day particularly if a holiday is there, suddenly there will be increase in demand for certain items, right? So every day he is not putting the order to the distributor, right, from whom he is bringing the products, whatever regular daily items. Every week he knows that he has to put that order. But whenever in between there is a in between that week, let's say Wednesday, Thursday, there is increase in demand, how to handle that? Because even if he sends an order, it will take 3 or 4 days to material to receive. So for that many days he cannot wait. So for that, or customers also will not wait, so he is keeping a stock, right, just for a backup, right? Just imagine, like, we keep money as a backup, right? Regular things, and sometimes for emergency we keep some amount of money in our bank as a backup. Same thing here for our safety. Same thing for his safety of the store, because customers would not go empty handed. He is keeping some stock that is nothing but your safety stock. And why that is required? There might be two reasons. One is obviously which you discussed. When sales is greater than forecast, every his assumption is that every day 50 milk packets being sold from his store. But there will be few days in the week, suddenly demand will be 55 or 60, right? So he is keeping those 10 packets, or whatever, 10 kg of rice or 20 kg of rice, or 20 kg of wheat additionally for his, like, kind of safety that customers will not go empty handed, right? So that is one thing. Second is there might be a situation where late supplier delivery from where he is bringing the material to his store. Not necessarily that if he puts the order, if let's say service level agreement that within 2 days, if let's say he sends the order on Saturday, so every week what he does, he sends the order on Saturday, Monday morning he receives all the items whatever he has ordered. So like that it has been happening, but not necessarily that every Monday he will be able to get the order. Sometimes there will be delay. If there is a delay in order, right? If order kind of like he has put that order, it is not that delay in order, delay in receipt, right? The material has not come from the supplier, the main distributor. In that case, what will happen? So Monday, it's not happen that customers are coming and going empty-handed, right? He should have also backup. So the safety or the backup that person is keeping in his store is due to two reasons. One is sales might be greater than forecast. Second is there might be delay in supplier, right? So this is where the difference in cycle inventory and safety inventory comes. Supply chain can exploit economy of scale, order up in large lots to reduce fixed cost, right? Because I know that if regularly I have a requirement of each week I'm selling 1 quintal rice or 50 kgs of rice. So rather than, like, so that on that, if I start increasing that rather than 50 kg 1 kg, sorry, 50 kg 1 quintal, then I can get some discount from the distributor, right? And that is where economy of scale happens, right? So think about all those retail outlets, right? So they're not, and that is where integration, multi-echelon supply chain comes into picture. Because if each store work independently, the amount of products will be small. But when all together they're putting an order, they can have that economic of scale, right? They can bargain with the supplier to get some discount. Safety inventory is carried out to satisfy demand subject to unpredictable demand fluctuations and to reduce product shortages, right? So we are planning for the future. Sometimes if there is a demand fluctuations, we can, sorry, we can plan for that and obviously reduce product shortages. The calculation of safety inventory is based on a predetermined service level, right? So imagine that like normal distribution, what, how much confidence level, how much like kind of safety level you want to keep, right? Because 100% cannot be guaranteed. There will be always some chance that customers come and return from you store. But at least if I'm able to say that 95% of time or 99% of the time, if a customer comes to my store, they'll get the material, they'll get the product what they're wanting, right? Choosing safety inventory involves making a trade-off between the cost of having too much inventory and cost of losing sales due to inventory shortage. So one side we have customer satisfaction, right? If customer comes to our store, he or she doesn't get the product what he or she wants, we are losing a customer. We are decreasing the customer satisfaction. Other way around is, if I do not want to lose a customer and I keep storing additional rice, dal, chawla, whatever items, I need space for that, right? And the space means I have to pay more rent, I have to use more electricity, more, let's say if it is some milk products, I have to have a refrigerator, more electricity will be used, right? So that is where you have to keep the balance, right? Because otherwise what happens, if you keep excess inventory, that is a cost to you also, right? It is not free. The rent space, the amount of space inside a store is limited, right? So first we'll discuss the basic thing, and this I think almost all of you have gone through earlier. So, but why we are doing this? Because when you build this simulation, there will be changes, right? It is not that every time annual demand will be deterministic. Deterministic means with lot of accuracy, you can say that, okay, this is the forecast error is very less. Deterministic is you can determine whatever the annual demand, right? But in reality, most of the times that fluctuates, right? That is probabilistic, right? That changes. Order quantity are fixed at Q units per order. That is also not true. If think about that grocery shop, it is not necessary that every week when that person is sending an order, we are assuming that the order unit for a particular product, we are thinking about a particular SKU, right? That okay, he will order only 20 kg rice or 50 kg rice, right? It might not be true. One week he is ordering 50 kg, next week he might order 70 kg. But here our assumption is that every week that grocery shop is ordering a fixed quantity, right? Then fixed ordering cost. Obviously, for a grocery shop, ordering cost will be like it. I don't think they are getting into a purchase order or a kind of agreement type. But for bigger organizations, right? Like let's say there is a kind of agreement between this Reliance Smart and ITC or Reliance Smart with PNG, right? So there obviously they have to send an order in ERP system, or a, so they need to have a legally binding document, right? But for maybe a small grocery shop, it is basically on verbally, right? He calls or he sends his person to collect material from the distributor, right? So this is what we are assuming: fixed ordering cost CU per order, not depending upon the quantity order. That ordering cost remains fixed for the order, whether I'm ordering 10 kg rice or 50 kg rice or 100 kg rice. That not the price of the product. This is the cost which we incur while ordering, right? The documentation maybe, or the transportation, all those things, packaging, all those things, that will be ordering cost. Holding cost, how much per unit per SKU, how much it costs to keep that inventory in the store, right? Again, if you see here, it is written not depending on the size of the inventory, which is incorrect, because as the size of the inventory increases, your holding cost should increase. But here, irrespective of the size of the inventory, we are assuming the amount per unit, the amount remains same, which is not actually true. So if you see, these are very simplistic assumptions which might not reflect the reality, because each of these will be different in real situation. Demand most of the times is not deterministic, keeps changing. Order quantity keeps changing. Ordering cost, depending upon how much you are ordering, will keep changing. Holding cost also depending upon inventory size, inventory type. It is not same to keep an inventory which is, let's say, you have a bag of rice of 50 kg, you can keep it anywhere. But if you have 50 milk packets or 20 milk packets, it need to be refrigerated, right? So that is where the difference will come, right? In reality, but here we are making same assumption. Holding cost will remain same for all type of inventory, all quantity of inventory. Ordering cost remains same irrespective of how many quantity I'm ordering. Order quantity remains same. For each SKU, I'm ordering a fixed quantity, right? Each week or each month, whenever my order cycle happens. Then annual demand is deterministic. With that in mind, we are trying to find out what will be our economic order quantity. If we believe that these assumptions are true, what should be the order quantity we should order from the supplier who is going to supply those material to us, right? What we are trying to minimize, we are trying to minimize the sum of the total cost is fixed ordering cost plus holding cost, right? So we are trying to minimize that. Okay. So this is think about that grocery shop, and we'll take that milk, the packaged milk as an example, right? So in the beginning of the week, let's say Monday, he has 50 units. So this queue is 50 units. Then every week, every day, sorry, not every week, every day that quantity gets reduced, right? Gets reduced. At certain point of time, this happens, let's say Friday. So on Friday, what happens? He puts that order. So on Friday, this much, how much? Another 10 quantity is left. He puts that order. Then Saturday, Sunday, again customers comes and five packets they consume. Then on Monday morning, when he has zero quantity, he receives the order. So suddenly, if you see what happens on Monday morning when he receives the order, again the quantity becomes Q, right? Again next week, again gradually quantity decreases. Again after Monday, next Monday, again he receives the order. So this is the very simplistic assumption, right? It might be true for few products, but not necessarily true for all the products. So if you see, there are few interesting things here which is not written. So Q is the demand in the beginning. In the end of the week, when the next order is he is receiving, this is zero, right? Quantity, we are assuming that it has almost all like being sold. Then this is the, in the x-axis, if you see, this is time. So we are thinking of lead time. Lead time is the time it takes to deliver that order. So what happens at this intersection where red lines are intersected? He is putting an order. Within that 2 days, he is getting that order, right? So that is the lead time. And there is something called reorder point, right? Which will again also a different slide for that. But anyhow, we are explaining that. So reorder point again is not a point on time, though it is written as a reorder point. Reorder point is a quantity. So how much quantity you have left when you are putting that order, right? So what happens here in the beginning of the, let's say there was 70 units was that. Every day there is 10 units. Every day on an average, that person is selling 10 milk packets, those packaged milk, right? 1 liter. So he had in the beginning 70 liter, 70 units of this 1 liter packets. Every day 10 units being sold. So on the Friday evening, he has already sold 50 units, right? So he has left 20 units. So that 20 becomes the reorder point. So when he has left with 20 units of this SKU, he is placing that order. So that 20 units is nothing but your reorder point. So reorder points is the quantity available with that stock, is quantity available with the retailer when he is putting the next order, right? So when he has 20 quantity left, he puts that order. So there is a 2 days lead time. Friday evening he puts the order. So Friday gone, Saturday gone, Sunday gone. Monday morning he receives the order. So by that time he has sold out balance 20 unit, that a reorder point quantity, and Monday morning he receives again 70 units, right? So can anybody tell me if his order is like quantity in the beginning of the week is Q, at the end of like Sunday, just think about Sunday evening or Monday morning, right? So this is Monday morning, he has 70 unit. Next Monday morning he has zero, then he receives 70, right? What is the average inventory he is keeping? What is the average inventory value? Anyone?
So is it 45?
Not 45, 35, right?
Because
70
you
divided,
said 70 in the beginning, right? And
correct?
ending inventory 20.
Not 20, zero.
Oh, 0. Yes, sir. 35 then.
Yeah. So if it was 20, what would have been your answer?
So then 40, 45.
Yeah. So your whatever is your initial inventory, then whatever your end term inventory, average of that. Basically, we are looking into what is the average type of inventory we are storing. If it was 70 and at the end I had 20, right? Then 70 plus 20 by 2, that would have been 45. So what is happening here? If you see, there were 70 units. By Monday morning, we have only 0. Then we are receiving 70 quantity. So by next week beginning, we have only 0, where no like left, because we are not looking to safety inventory right now, safety stock right now. So 70, we had 70, 0. 70 plus 0 by 2 is 35. So if I want to put it in a formula type, right, what will be there? I had Q units. By end of that cycle, end of that period, what I'm taking, let's say that is 1 week, I had 0 units of inventory. So average units will be Q plus 0 by 2, Q by 2, right? So that is the average inventory with me, right? And if I kind of know about the cost, what about the cost of the product, right? So okay, before that, annual holding cost. What is the like kind of how much? Because I know that this is the cost for holding inventory, right? Keeping inventory. So what is the holding cost? It might be rent, it might be electricity, it might be the security, if some security guard being staying in front of that store to safeguard the items. So all this combined, the amount of money I spend to keep the inventory secure stored in my store, right? So that is nothing but my holding cost. So holding cost again per unit per year being given, right? For your exam point of view, make sure that you are reading the question correctly, whether it is per year, per month, because depending upon what calculation is given, you have to convert that. Holding cost here it is given as CH per unit per year, right? So then what will be my annual holding cost? Whatever was my average inventory we found out that Q by 2 multiplied by whatever the holding cost per annual holding cost per a year, that is given as CH. So Q by 2 multiplied by CH. Then how to find out the ordering cost? In case of a small grocery, so ordering cost will be very less, because most of the times verbally they will call for the distributor or the from where they are getting that material delivered. But if you are looking into big organizations, right? So they are spending some money in ordering, right? So number of orders per year, then order per order, what is the cost? Cost per order, right? So how will I get number of orders per year? Because I'm assumed my total annual demand is D, right? Let's say 10,000 packets, right? Think about that uh, store. Let's say that person is selling not 10,000, maybe 1,000 uh, milk packets, 1,000 1 liter milk packets, right? Number. So how many like what is the like quantity he is ordering each time, each week he is ordering 50 or 70, right? 70 units he is ordering. So what will happen? How many times he is ordering them? 1,000 units is the total consumption. 1,000 units being sold out from the store. 1,000 divided by 70, right? Maybe 14, right? 14 point something it is happening. So 14 orders he is putting, around 14 orders in a year he is putting to the supplier, right? Let's say per each order he is spending some rupees, 10 rupees or 20 rupees, right? Let's say he's bringing a form, filling that up, packaging and all those things combined, it is 20 rupees or 30 rupees. So that becomes your ordering cost. So your whatever your number of orders multiplied by your per order, whatever the cost. Our intention objective is to minimize both of two, because both of two are opposite to each other. Because I increase my holding cost, that means I am like putting more or keeping more inventory, my ordering cost will decrease, my holding cost will increase because I'm keeping more inventory. That means I'm putting less order, rather than, let's say in this particular case, if I look into this without any calculation, let's say I have annual demand 1,000, right? So per order I order 500 units, right? So in that case, what will happen? 500 divided by 2, so 250 units average inventory multiplied by my annual inventory holding cost. Then in that case, what will happen? My annual number of orders will be reduced by 7 factor, because earlier I used to order 14 units, 14 orders. Now what will happen? I have annual demand of 1000 divided by 500. Only in the beginning of the year and the middle of the year, I'm putting two orders on, right? Of 500 quantity each, right? So in that case, what happens? My uh, holding cost increases and my ordering cost decreases. Other way can be that I'll be putting every like 10, every like my ordering size is 10, so I'm putting 100 orders. So in that case, what will happen? Demand is 1000 divided by 10. So 100 orders multiplied by cost per ordering. It will increase, but inventory level will be very less. So because I'm ordering only 10 units, 10 divided by 2, average inventory is 5 units. So I'm not storing in my store. Every day I'm ordering, then selling it, done. Right. So in that case, what will happen? Inventory cost will be decreased, but ordering cost will increase. So we have to keep a balance between them. We have to minimize the both the cost. Right. Total cost is holding cost Q by 2. That is average inventory multiplied by your cost for holding 1 unit of inventory per 1 year, right? Plus annual setup cost, number of total orders multiplied by cost per ordering, D by Q multiplied by CO. If you take the derivative here, because we are trying to minimize here, the formula will be Q square is equal to 2 multiplied by annual demand multiplied by C0, that is your ordering cost, divided by your holding cost, right? Then if I want to find out Q, the economic order quantity, which gives the balance between holding cost and ordering cost, that will be square root of 2 annual demand multiplied by ordering cost divided by holding cost. Just see the challenge, right? If my holding cost is more than my, let's say holding cost is uh, 9 times my ordering cost, right? Keeping an inventory is 9 times costly than my ordering cost. Then what will happen? For the same annual demand, let's say D remains constant. I take that out from the equation. If I give you a scenario where my holding cost is 9 times the ordering cost, then your ordering quantity will reduce by 3 times, because keeping inventory is much more costly for me. But other way around, if let's say your ordering cost is very costly because you are importing that, you have to go through a lot of processing documents, your this packaging and all those things, additional regulations, additional certifications. Let's say your ordering cost is very costly, C0 is 9 times of CH. Then what does happens? 9 CH divided by CH, 3 times of the quantity what you are ordering. For the same annual demand, if your ordering cost is 9 times of your holding cost, so your annual quantity, the quantity what you are ordering, right, for each order will be 3 times. But in the other way around, if your holding cost of inventory, which is most of the times true, 9 times of your ordering cost, then you're keeping the same annual demand, your quantity order will be one third, right? If earlier you used to order 300 units, your actual ordering will be 100 units, right? So if your ordering cost increases, your quantity ordered in single order increases. If your holding cost increases, your quantity order in each order decreases, right? So that is what our economic order quantity talks about, right? How to manage the ordering quantity, right? Q. What will be the answer here? Annual, like Reliance Smart sells 9,600 Amul Taja wholesale boxes a year. This is packaged milk. Annual carrying cost is 16 rupees per box. So carrying is basically holding cost to keep the inventory or to carry the inventory in the store, right? 16 rupees per year per box, right? Ordering cost is 75 rupees per order, right? So what will be your economic order quantity? How much units per order this Reliance Mart will be sending to Amul? Anyone? So again, you can use the formula 2 multiplied by annual demand is 9,600 multiplied by your 75 rupees, that is C0 ordering cost, divided by your holding cost 16 rupees, right? So here if you see ordering cost per order is 75 rupees, which can be true, right? So the normal documentation processing and all those things, will be around 75 rupees per order. So what it says that anytime Reliance Mart is sending an order to Amul for this 200 ml milk packets, see, yes, they are sending 300 units. So what are our assumptions here? Annual demand is constant, that 9,600 per year, that is constant, that is we can forecast. Second is ordering quantity is fixed. This 300, anytime we are putting that order, we are only always ordering 300 units. Then this, depending upon how many units you are ordering or how less you are ordering, there is no change with your ordering cost. That 75 rupees is constant per order, 75 rupees fixed. Similarly, holding cost per box of Amul Taja 16 rupees is constant, right? There is no change with that, right? With all these four assumptions, what we can tell that anytime Reliance Smart is ordering from Amul, so they are ordering 300 units if these assumptions are correct, right? So that is our economic order quantity, the order quantity which makes economic sense, which keeps the balance between our ordering cost and carrying cost or holding cost, right? And any questions up to this point? So reorder point I have already discussed. Reorder point is defined, though it is written as reorder point, it is not a point on time. It is inventory level at which a new order should be placed. Like I was giving that example. If my weekly sale is 70 units, per day average I am selling 10 units, and I know the lead time is 2 days. So what happens? Monday 10 units sold, Tuesday 10 units sold. By Friday evening, I have already sold 50 units, and I know that it will take 2 days for that person, that supplier to deliver the order. So when I have 20 units, right, I am putting that order to the supplier so that Monday morning when I have sold out everything, Monday morning I'll receive that 70 units, right? So reorder point becomes here that 20 units when you are, so inventory level of 20 units when you are making that order, when you are sending your order to the supplier, right? So the when to order decision is usually expressed in the terms of reorder point, right? Though we are telling when to order, it is not the time. It is about how much quantity is left with us when we are putting that order, right? So again, we are starting with the simplistic ones. Next class we'll discuss, because these assumptions do not remain same, right? So reorder point every week, it is not that 70 units will be there, right? Or every day it is not necessary that 10 units being consumed, right? So in that case, your reorder point will change. So whenever you have a stochastic demand and stochastic lead time, what does it mean? Demand is varying every day. 10 unit, it is not true. Someday 5 units, someday 20 units, someday 25 units. So that is a stochastic demand, probabilistic demand. Then stochastic lead time. It is not necessary that if you send an order to the supplier, within 2 days he will deliver. That also might be between some range between 1 to 5 days. Sometimes they will deliver within 1 day, sometimes they will deliver after 5 days, right? So how to like decide, because you have a reorder point, so the quantity at which you are putting that order. So that's why, like I said in the beginning, we discussed there is something called as safety stock, right? We have to keep some stock as a backup, which helps us, right? Which kind of helps us in two things. When our sales is more demand, sales is more than forecast, that means we are selling more than whatever we have forecasted. Second thing, when there is an uncertainty in lead time, the amount of time the supplier takes to deliver the items is not fixed. Someday it will take 1 day, sometime the supplier will take 1 day, sometime the supplier will take 5 days. So this is where all your kind of when from the next class we'll discuss on the modeling part, right? How, what kind of inventory control for different kind of scenarios. If you see this normal, like same example, if I take my target level is to, let's say 70 units is my cycle inventory, 30 units is my safety inventory. I'll keep 30 units in my store. Sometimes if additional demand comes, we'll like kind of, so 30 units always I will keep in my store. So what happens every week? So my target level is actually 100. So because 70 is my cycle inventory, the regular consumption, 30 units my safety inventory. So I start with 100 units at, let's say how much, 30 plus 20 is 50. At 50 unit, I make that order, right? Sometimes what happens, more consumption happens within next 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, more customers came rather than telling 10 or 10, selling 10 or 10 units, you sold 15 or 15 units, 30 units or 40 units. So that might situation might arise and you will have safety stock for that because you have additional 30 units which will take care of that. Sometimes it might happen that demand is such that suddenly somebody comes and put an order for 40 milk packets, right? So in that case, what will happen? Backlog will happen because you do not have items say in your store all are consumed because you have only 30 units and somebody is asking for 40 units. So there will be backlog of 10 orders. So back order of 10 units. So we'll say that okay, you take 30 units now, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I'll go and give you 10 units, right? Other way around, sometimes there will be excess safety stock. You have kept that 30 units, but never you'll get into that situation where demand is more than 30 units, right? In that case, what will happen? Every day or every week, we are keeping some additional inventory which is excessive, right? So now the for the like work for us or objective for us is to how to keep a balance between that, because we know that there will be some uncertainty in the lead time, there will be some uncertainty in the demand, but how to make sure that we are not keeping much safety stock also we are not keeping less safety stock also, because we are keeping only 10 units and regularly 20 units, some weekends 20 units demand is coming, we are not able to meet the customer satisfaction level, okay? So this is where our challenge will come from. What we'll discuss different type of inventory control policy, right? How you manage different type of inventory, right? So we'll discuss those things, and these are the 4 different types of inventory policy which will be helpful in our once we go back and do the simulation, right? Then there are certain calculation, you do not have to remember the calculation, but I'll explain how these equations are derived, right? So that you have a fundamental understanding of this safety stock and reorder point. So anyhow, these are the different type of inventory control policy in that software. I'll go one by one, and so that anyhow that those things we'll discuss in next class. So any last question, any doubt before we close?
Sir, I missed my attendance.
Roll number
340.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's all for today. Chalo, take